Today, I would like to document my study session because it's a study session that I've never quite had before, meaning I just finished spring 2021 at San Jose State as a computer science and humanities major. I am registered for a course called Operating Systems for next semester, next fall. And what I'm going to do is I literally just did a search of computer science, San Jose State syllabus. And our department, a CS department here, has all the syllabuses public, which is really nice. I encourage anyone who's creating syllabuses or head of a department that you do the same for your students, because it allows students to engage in this stages of deep learning before the term begins. So I can begin to discover, if you bear with me with my annotating features, I can begin to do this stage, transitioning from 0 to 1, because there's plenty of things I won't understand about operating systems, but I can try to get a head start. So I'm looking at the syllabus of a professor who I really admire. I had him for data structures and algorithms. So I'll go ahead and open that up. And I've already critically read through all of this. So for the sake of this video, I like to highlight the fact that he is using this open access textbook with an educational resource. Shout out to OERs and OpenStax and all educators using OERs. So I have, this is a pretty cool textbook. This is the link that this teacher has provided. And here are all the contents in online form. So one reason I wanted to document today is I have never previewed for a course 2 months before the start date of the term. And when I really thought about what the stages of deep learning means, I realized if I want to do due diligence and make the most out of my education, it is in my best interest to begin as soon as I can. So I am privileged enough to have this time to carve out for studying and previewing. I know that is not always the case for many students that I know. So I've downloaded some of the contents from this book created by professors at University of Wisconsin-Madison. Pretty amazing how authorship can reach the reach of authorship. So what I'd like to do now is I'd like to kind of begin reading some of the contents of the book. If I were to really do this carefully, I would look at the calendar of the professor that look at the topics of the tentative course schedule and reverse engineer it this way. But one problem that I've experienced, this music is throwing me off. Give me one moment. One thing I experienced about following our professors' course schedules is oftentimes when they jump around chapter to chapter. So if this course schedule doesn't exactly align to this sequencing of the textbook, I will have gaps of knowledge that makes it really hard to understand. So for example, for sure LOX is going to be on something that the teacher is going to assess us on, but he won't necessarily require us to read, let's say, these chapters before LOX. And oftentimes the LOX chapter will have material that for me to understand like these previous chapters are prerequisites. So anyways, the short way to say this is, since I have a head start, I don't have to skip around. I don't have to stick to the schedule and really flow with the text. So I've already downloaded some of this. So now I'm just actually going to be quiet and take notes on the different contents and chapters. Well, it's nice to be able to compare the table of contents with the tentative course schedule. In fact, let me see if I can do something. So right now I'm making the table of contents from the textbook, converting that PDF into a Google Doc. But then it looks really bad actually. So, but it's okay. The formatting is off. I think my understanding of these conversions, when we convert different document formats, has to do with linear algebra and some type of data compression or manipulation, which is kind of cool. So what I want to do now is reshare. Now you can see both windows, hopefully. So if I was really serious, yeah, that's not going to be good. Okay. So I'm looking at the course schedule and also looking at the contents of the book. And immediately I can see some similar words, right? There's for sure logs. So I'm not going to do this at the moment. Again, because I am starting early, I don't have to jump around the text to meet the intellectual need and expectation of the professor. I can just go through the text from start to finish. So let me go ahead and do that. Introduction to operating systems. Let's see how this is the conversion. Pretty cool. Dropping down the open with. This is through Google Drive. So if you have PDFs, you can open with. And you can, it converts it into a Google document. Okay, looks like it's not too bad. There's definitely some code here. So I might have to double check that this makes sense. Cool. All right, so now I'm about to be quiet and annotate this first introduction chapter. And I'll just go ahead and turn my video off also, and get to reading. Well, one last note I'll make on reading is this is my mentor, Jeff Anderson at Foothill College, the happiest man I know, happiest and most educated man I know. And he has a good post on reading. One of the most valuable things I've learned as being a college student and through my mentorship from student-centered educators is reading. Certainly is a form of communication, but this post is a really good job at distinguishing different types of reading. So yeah, it's there for you if you want to take a look. Okay, so I'm going to turn my video off and I'm going to read and annotate. I'll keep my mic on. So many hormones. So I know from my architecture class that these are for sure keywords, computer architecture class. Computer architecture. 147 is the code. And this is actually a good habit to try because what's crazy about that is it's actually a memory trick to be able to connect past prior knowledge to new knowledge. So there's something called memory palaces. And in memory, people who go to like memory competitions, and in memory competitions, what they'll do is they create like a story in their head to memorize very seemingly irrelevant pieces of information. In this case, it is relevant because these bolded words, fetches, decodes, and executes are directly related to computer architecture. But yeah, so memory technique to link your prior knowledge to help instead of hinder. Now, if your prior knowledge is inaccurate and incomplete, that might hinder, right? So keep in mind, prior knowledge matters. Okay. Okay, so I sped up at the end there a little bit, but that was just the introduction chapter. Yeah, one of my next steps is getting most of the keywords onto a separate document and defining them well, and then building my own concept image from highlighting some of the unknown words in this chapter. Okay, that's it for today.